Audio test 1, 2, 3. Open up the public hearing. We're going to do, there are the two hearings tonight. We're going to do the first one, and then we'll leave that open for 30 minutes. Then we'll start the second one, and we'll leave that open for 30 minutes. And then as soon as we finish those two, we'll go right into our board meeting. So the first public hearing will be is being held by the Kentucky Valley School Board for the purpose of expending funds from the Conval Athletic Capital Reserve Fund for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. I believe, Mr. Grassi, you're going to speak to that, please.
Yes, thanks, Dick. You have in front of you a justification for a concessions building at the high school. This is for the athletic fields, and what it does is replace the food service trailer. Food service trailer is about 18 years old and has worn out its useful purpose. The trailer is roughly 7 feet wide by 20 feet long. If you've been out to an athletic field, hopefully you've had some of the wonderful food that the volunteers have cooked out of it. This request, it will be to build a permanent concession stand. It's roughly 3 times the size that the current trailer is, and it will have bathrooms. Right now we utilize porta potties, which are relatively expensive, out towards the entrance to the athletic field. So these would have a men's, a woman's, and a family's bathroom in them. So it'd be 3 separate bathrooms. By having a concession stand in a larger space, will be more appealing towards hosting state meets and other tournaments, round robin tournaments. Every time we put people on those fields, we have an opportunity. It's more than an opportunity. We do make money through concessions. The FCVA has been phenomenal in that, and they've made a lot of money, which comes back to the athletic programs, which is funds that we don't have to raise through taxation. So the request is for $75,000 in funding. We have other donations coming. And other offers for financial assistance towards it, and I suspect that will only grow in size. We believe we can do the building for $75,000. The electric, we already have the freezer, refrigerators, stoves, and other appliances that would go inside of it, and we'll do most of the work ourselves with our expertise. Obviously, there'll be some things we can't do, and we'll contract that out. But that's the gist of it. Any questions?
Any questions from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we will leave this open for 30 minutes, and then we'll move on to our second public hearing. And I believe, in accordance with RSA 198:20-c, Roman numeral 2, a public hearing will be held by the Conval Board for the purpose of expending funds from the Daniels Fund Hancock to make improvements to the playground located at the Hancock Elementary School 2023-24 fiscal year. Mr. Grassi again, I believe.
Yeah, before I talk to this, Jessica Vincina, the principal of Hancock Elementary School, has done 99% of the work on this. She's met with the vendors, worked on design work. She's done a phenomenal job, and hats off to her. The present state of the Hancock Elementary School playground is 25 years old. Plastics are starting to crack, starting to degrade. Powder coat finish on some of the metal finishes is starting to flake and rust. And we've been told that it's at its useful life expectancy. This proposal is to replace that playground with ADA compliant, age appropriate play structures, and it would utilize the current footprint of the school playground now. Right now we don't have ADA, we only have a swing for an ADA compliant piece of equipment. There is nothing for preschool age children over there at all, and obviously Hancock is a school that has a preschool in it. As Dick had noted, the plan is to utilize the Daniels Fund, which is specific to Hancock Elementary School. There's only a couple of things that would need to be worked out with the pricing. We've got 2 quotes. One was to Ben Schaefer Recreation for $343,615.23. And the other quote was from Playtime, or Game Time Play Core Company for $199,790.11. You might ask why the discrepancies in price. The two layouts, which I apologize, I do not have them with me, are very different in size, very different in scope, and quite honestly, the Ben Schaefer Recreation plan is absolutely beautiful. It's phenomenal. It does utilize the pathways to ADA compliant, which is came up in recent months. And the only thing that the quote does not cover is cost of rubbish removal and site preparation, which we would need to do. We estimate that to be between $20,000 and $26,000, which would be on top of those quotes. The Daniels Fund for Hancock has significantly more money than that, the highest price in it. So we're definitely within budget. Questions?
Any questions from the audience? Okay, not seeing any. We'll leave this public hearing open for 30 minutes. And at this point, we will convene our school board member meeting. If we please stand for the pledge. Points of pride.
Want to start by congratulating our Conval High School. They were recently named and the top 40%, actually 30% of all high schools in America, and the top 20, top 17 to be exact, in New Hampshire, number 5 in the metro Manchester area. So congratulations. They've worked hard for that. So congratulations. You'll be seeing more information coming out about that. At Antrim Elementary School, there's three exciting upcoming events at AES where AES students will explore science. The first event is a STEAM residency with Top Secret Science on Wednesday. Then Animal Adventures will be there to teach about New England exotic animals on Thursday, and Top Secret Science will be back on May 22nd for a family engagement STEM night, and we encourage all families of AES to attend. At Dublin Consolidated School, students and their families enjoyed the NHDI performance before April break, thanks to the Dublin Community Foundation for their support on that. And we're gearing up, the Dublin Consolidated School is gearing up for their end-of-year assessments and showing a lot of academic promise and progress. At Greenfield Elementary School, a huge thank you to Justin Mell for his amazing work to support our students with art to present at Children, and it's that time of year, always so exciting. And the Arts Day, for those of you who might not be familiar with that at home or here, that is May 18th. It's in Peterborough. It is one of the best festivals, I think, that Peterborough does throughout the year. So, back to Points of Pride. The students worked hard last week to design and make amazing creations ready for the festival. And students also worked to spread the seed balls created by the second grade class with help from Carly Mayer. So many beautiful flowers are blooming all over the property at Greenfield Elementary School. At Temple Elementary School this week, they welcomed artist in residence, Mark Ringnees, who helped design an outside wish house, which was constructed from river driftwood and was adorned with colorful wish flags that students created. Please feel free to stop by and see their hopes and wishes as they are waving in our spring blue skies. And those are our points of pride today.
I'd like to add one more point of pride. This past Tuesday, I believe, I was invited to a veterans breakfast at SMS, and there were 24 other veterans who came, and it'd been a while since they had done it there because of COVID, and it was a joy to sit with the students and dialogue with them and answer their questions. But I can tell you the veterans who were there were really taken back and thoroughly enjoyed the time they spent with the students. So I am sure other members of the board who are veterans will soon receive an invitation for next year's veteran breakfast, and it's well worth coming to. So thank you, SMS. That was a great time. Could we please have the approval of the manifest?
I certify the manifest listed below totaling $3,349,549.27 have been reviewed by me and found to be proper charges against the Kentucky Valley School District for goods and/or services received and have been properly processed prior to their submittal to the school board.
You have a motion to approve? A second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right, thank you. At this point in our agenda is open for public comment. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the board, we provide 2 minutes for a member of the community. Please share your name and your community, and make sure the little green light is on the mic in front of you. Just push down on that. So, thank you.
Oh, no. Can you hear now? Do you want me to start over? Oh, perfect. So I was just told that PES is going to be removing a teacher from the 3rd grade and making the current 2nd grade, which is currently spread out amongst 3 grades, 3 teachers, go down to 2. And I just wanted to advocate for that. I do have a child that is currently in the 2nd grade. And with their class sizes right now, it does total 40. And when I looked up the policy at the school board, it does say for 3rd grade between 20 and 22. However, that policy was updated last, I believe, in 2018. And a lot has changed with education since then. I think across the board, we've seen an increase in behaviors and also more support needed for academics. So I question if that number is still valuable with today's current students. And other things that I thought would be part of that discussion is the classroom sizes and the amount of space it takes to house 20 children, along with the furniture in those classrooms, as well as the RTI process, the response to intervention. When you have 20 kids in a classroom, small groups become large groups, and kids are seen less amount of times throughout a week. So those are just concerns that I have with that just being the grade that this will affect being my daughter's. So I just wanted to give my input and sure that I advocate for what I think needs are at PES.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come forward? All right. Thank you. Reports. Lucy.
Okay, so last Saturday, Ocean Bowl traveled to Venice Beach for a field trip to clean up trash on the ocean, and it was around 20 kids. This week, AP exams have started, and they're going for the next 3 weeks, so they vary across different subjects. This Thursday in the LHT, there's a student film festival, and it's featuring films made by all the students in the different photo and video classes. And on Friday, the music department is traveling to Great East Music Festival and Six Flags. And then this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, so we're spending the week doing things for our teachers. Today there was like card making and then certain like snacks and breakfasts and stuff like that, just to appreciate our teachers at the high school.
Thank you, Lucy. Same roles whenever you're comfortable. Feasibility Committee, Mr. Hoyt.
The feasibility committee will be meeting the second and fourth Thursdays of each month from 6 to 7. The meetings are open to the public. Agendas are posted in the usual places that our meeting agendas are posted. And we'll begin this Thursday studying the feasibility and sustainability of Dublin and Francistown withdrawing from the school district. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions, board members? All right. Selectman Advisory, Mr. Alkine.
Okay, most of the meeting was spent talking about the feasibility study and the committee. And that is something that we are required to do, and who will be members of that committee, which will be one school board member from each town and one select board member from each town. That's required. And then there could be other members to that committee that we vote for, who we vote to include, but they are not required to be on there. So it's a big committee, and as Mike said, we will be meeting twice a month. And we look forward to starting this process.
Any questions for Alan? All right, great. Consent agenda.
So you have your minutes, personnel and May 1 enrollment. Sorry about that. And in the consent agenda. So just a motion to accept. Or questions.
Yeah, questions. Tom?
I wanted to follow up on what was mentioned in the public comments by one of the parents of a PES student about the equity of some of our classroom sizes.
Just, Tom, we can't respond to that particular question. You can bring up as a board member a question you might have.
I was referencing,
Oh, okay,
just
all right.
bringing it up as the topic,
Okay,
if you will. But I am concerned about the equity of the classroom sizes. And if we're going to go from 3 to 2 teachers for grade 3, that's going to make those class sizes abnormally large by comparison.
Superintendent?
So if the board would like, I can certainly bring our projected enrollment. It should be pretty solid by the next meeting, and we can review that.
I think we would like you to do that.
Okay.
I know that has been a concern that's been brought up to me also, and I think it's well worth taking a look at it. So thank you, Tom, for mentioning that. Something that I would like to share under the consent agenda also in the past, and as many as you know, a concern was brought to the attention of the board regarding a potential right to know violation related to emails of board members. I can tell you the board took this concern very seriously and immediately reviewed the information brought forward with counsel. To be sure that all board members were clear about right to know requirements, we additionally brought legal counsel to the district and had him present on the right to know, the role of the board, and the obligations of the board. Following the presentation, council reviewed the information that had been provided as well as emails in question. The written opinion has been shared with all board members, is available to anyone that would like a copy. But I would, as a board chair, I'd just like to share a couple paragraphs out of the statement. One is that it was evident that no decision was reached or made by the board through electronic mail, and at no time did a quorum of the board engage in deliberations. I think that's very clear for the public to know. And also, I asked him to respond. He said, I received the remedies sought by Mr. Kingston, as I indicate above, emails regarding agenda items to a quorum of the Board of Public Records unless falling within a non-public exception. Solicitation of agenda items by the vice chair via email is not a violation of the right to know law, and doing such does not warrant the removal from a board position. So I just want to emphasize those two things. I think they're pretty important for the public to know that we took this very seriously and will continue to take any kind of issues very seriously. Questions, superintendent's report, please.
Okay, so in your packet, you have the monthly events calendar for May and June. Just a Sorry, I'm having trouble remembering the green button today. Reminder, graduation is on the 8th. You all receive tickets to that, and we will need an RSVP if you will or will not be attending. So please let us know if you will or will not attend. Please, please, please don't just hand off your ticket to somebody. That causes all sorts of issues. Thank you. And we are caught up on school board requests unless there were requests that I am either unaware of or seriously delinquent on.
Any calendar changes?
Changes for the monthly events? I don't
Sure.
believe so unless you have.
No. Any changes on the calendar, monthly event calendars for anyone? Great. Okay. Yes, Alan. Yep. Yes, we did.
Also, I do have one more thing.
Sure.
If are we all set on questions about the calendar?
Yes.
And okay, I want to provide the board with some notification around our budget. We have had significant special education costs this year, totaling in excess of $3 million more than was budgeted for in special ed. We are working hard to manage that, but just to be clear, we don't have, what we're doing right now is taking from other programming in order to manage that. I have provided the board the DIA fund balance policy. As a board, you are able to decide what is and what is not an emergency that we can use fund balance for. And as the superintendent, I am suggesting that this may be something that you want to declare an emergency. Should you do that, you would then need to have a hearing, at which time we would need to outline for the community what those costs were and how we would be spending that fund balance.
Board
So-
recognizes Dr. Kriebel.
I move that the board declare an emergency in the situation for special ed funding so that we can look at using some of the reserve funds.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions from board? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? All right, all yays. Thank you.
So I just want to, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that people know that that means we'll have 2 public hearings prior to the May 21st meeting. One will be for use of capital funds for the roof at PES, and the other will be for use of the fund balance. So, I think
We're practicing tonight, so we'll be much better our next board meeting with 2 of them. Old business, feasibility study. Superintendent.
Kimberly,
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
make a correction. You mentioned there's a public hearing fund now, the 15 funds, if things are recorded correctly.
Thank you, Jim. And so I am talking about the retained fund balance, not, yes, thank you very much. So I was asked, so A and B really go together. We obviously are in the midst of putting together the feasibility study. At the meeting, Dean did come and talk a little bit about that. One of the things that I was asked to do was to track kind of our costs associated with that and the time that we're spending. And we have started to track that. Obviously, Dean's time is not free. And I don't have a solid number for you at this time. I guess I'm really looking to you to say, how do you want that formatted? Do you want just an accounting? Do you want it broken down? What do you want to know, time and money? How would you like that information?
Any thoughts from board members?
I would suggest time and money myself.
Can you give us some guidance, Kimberly, in terms of what's a reasonable request to ask for? Bill?
Yes, so I think letting you know, hard costs, for instance, Dean is a hard cost. If we provide, paper copying, those are hard costs. What would be harder to do would be costs associated and would be better to do it as time, would be, for instance, if I'm spending time on the feasibility study, is tracking my time versus the cost of that time. So I would separate it out like that if that is acceptable to the board.
Sounds reasonable.
Jim?
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need to understand how much of the staff's time is being taken up. I'm less concerned about the dollars associated with that. But when you come to us asking for personnel to kind of backfill that time, we need a justification for it.
All right. I'm seeing heads up from the board, that a thumbs up. That seems feasible. Okay.
All right, so I will have an ongoing time and money report on the feasibility, and I'll add that to the superintendent's report.
Great.
Okay. And then the other piece that you guys asked for, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping to B, was what should we put aside? So over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks actually, since the board asked that, the SAU has actually engaged in significant discussion around that, as well as really looking at what individuals are going to need to do. Brian obviously has a heavy load. I have a heavy load on this. And Ben has a really heavy load. And we looked at what we do kind of in an ongoing way. Our suggestion to you, and you obviously don't need to vote on this or give an answer today, but is that we put a pause on our 3-year goals and the strategic plan, with the exception of the equity audit, because that we are using ESSER dollars for that. And I would remind us that the equity audit is about individual student and group demographic equity. It isn't not about equity between buildings. And the reason for that is, yes, the reports are due on November 1st. So it would appear that we could very easily pick up where we left off. But unfortunately, what people don't see in the summer is the work we do to prepare for working with students. Staff come in to work on curriculum, staff come in for professional development. The entire administration works together on how we're going to achieve those goals. What do we need to fine tune? That work happens in the summer and late summer, early fall, exactly when we will be the busiest with this information. So that is our suggestion. It wasn't a suggestion we are giving lightly. It actually, for us, we were very excited about kind of what we termed the return to normalcy. And putting a pause on these is a really hard thing to recommend, but that's our recommendation.
So when we meet, the next meeting this month, we can respond to this. It gives you the next few weeks to think about if that's acceptable, and then we'll respond to that when we come back. New business.
All right, so I am happy to introduce our 2 middle school principals, Adam Carriger and Tim Conway, as well as the assistant principal for one of our assistant principals at the high school, Rick Simino. They have a presentation for you this evening on how we're going to align athletics in middle school and high school, and what that would mean for the athletic director's job description as well as programming. So
Just to give you guys a heads up, we're about 3 minutes away from closing the first public hearing, so we'll just take a quick break and do that vote, then get you back on stage.
All right. When you see the picture that is at the beginning of the presentation, you understand why we wanted to wait until the picture was up, because it's really nice. So.
Song participation, you know. You guys could sing that to us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, quick commercial break. Has it been 3 minutes? We actually were doing this intentionally, so
That's
that
good.
you had,
Right, good.
yeah. What's best when everyone's there?
Yes.
We'll do it by ourselves.
There's sound? Nope. Not what okay.
Yep. 181-825-1555. 0574. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to be exciting. So thank you for having us. My name's Adam Carragher. I'm the principal at Great Brook.
Why don't you stop right there? We got 17 seconds and we'll pick you up.
No problem.
I'm going to close the public hearing on the funding for the athletic complex at the high school. The request was $75,000 to be used. For this purpose, could I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Sounds good. We're done.
Yep.
Perfect timing.
There we go. So now we're going to try to squeeze everything in real quick here. So as I was saying, Adam Carragher, I'm the principal at Great Brook. Thank you for having us here. So over the last, well, quite a little while, there have been some discussions about the idea of having a director of athletics for the Conval School District. The idea is taking one position that would be the athletic director position that would cover GBS, SMS, as well as the high school, as well as having the support of game day coordinators to help with the kind of little things and the day-to-day functions that are part of what are requirements in order for athletics to actually happen. The reason that we want to do this is the idea of creating something that's consistent experience, consistent opportunities, consistent in just a number of different ways. Having the ability to have one individual who is in the lead in that particular role will certainly play a big part in making it so that our students at GBS, our students at SMS, and our students at CVHS are able to have a powerful and full program with not only, shall we say, kind of the beginning in mind, but also their whole experience from 5th grade on up into the high school levels. So the idea, again, it's the idea of creating something that will be consistent for all of our students. the idea that we'll have a vision that will really kind of drive our athletic programming, similar to a vision that we would have for a curriculum. When we look at something, having that vertical alignment that goes all the way up through the high school, the idea of having that kind of a programming that goes up through the high school and athletics is also, it's something a lot of districts prescribe to, and it's something that would really, I think, boost our programs and help our students to have a better overall experience. Also amongst that, it does create a systematic approach for us as we look at coaching, whether it's the hiring of coaches, the evaluation of coaches. All of those things are, if we can wrap one person's arms around, it will create a more consistent experience for our students. So, Tim and Rick are going to go into a little bit more of the that was kind of the umbrella view. They're going to get a little bit more into the more nitty gritty. So, gentlemen.
Well, thank you. My name is Rick Semino, one of the assistant principals at the high school. The present levels of what we see now, the athletic director at the high school is responsible for programming and budgeting at the high school only. If I jump down a couple, you see we have 3 separate athletic directors, one each at the middle school and one at the high school, and that, they each have their own philosophies. This would be, and then you have the one at the high school, so there's these separate philosophies. The high school athletic director also oversees the health and wellness department. That includes supervision, evaluation, observations of the health and wellness department. The athletic director at the high school also is the co-curricular, oversees all co-curriculars. So running the day-to-day operations of co-curriculars and making sure there was advisors for all the co-curriculars and programming and things like that. The athletic director currently oversees that. The high school athletic director has some additional administrative duties at the high school. For example, they have duties in the morning. They have a lunch duty. They help with lunch. They're also on the safety committee, so there's also additional administrative duties within the high school that they have. And also that, one thing to point out is presently, there's this inconsistent relationship with our feeder programs, with the youth programs, that is essential to maintaining healthy and robust middle school and high school programming. And we need to really build our numbers, and the way to do that is to have a consistent philosophy and message with those feeder programs, with those youth programs, and that we feel as though this will go towards that.
So I jump in to talk about what the differences are. So with all the responsibilities that Rick just talked about, what's it going to look like moving forward? So in order to free up the athletic director, what things need to happen? They're going to be responsible for all the programming district-wide and the budgeting district-wide. 12 or 5 through 12. They will have the supervision of the coaches, the game day coordinators, and the health and wellness will be absorbed by the administrators. So then the high school staff, the administrators would be absorbing all that evaluation. The part I would be really excited about is one philosophy, get us vertically aligned district-wide so that it isn't just 3 people in what they think about athletics. It's one person looking at this and a lot of consistency and eliminate some of those differences. Co-curriculars are handled by administration at CBHS, GBS, and SMS. Responsibilities will be covered. So the day-to-day operations, like you heard, lunch duty, recess duty, would be handled by staff. So that gets reabsorbed by administration and staff at the building, and a more consistent relationship. You're working with one person rather than 3 with your youth programs. The cost is quite simple. So currently, we have 1 athletic director at the high school. We have 2 athletic directors at the middle school. At the middle school, that costs us, it's a stipend position, and the total cost between the 2 athletic directors is $9,720. The proposed cost with 3 game day coordinators would be $10,800. With the district athletic director, there's no change. It's a similar position, just with some different responsibilities, with the total cost just being $1,080 with the bump in stipends. We're adding a game day coordinator at the high school because there'll be times where a district athletic director is not just going to be sitting in high school all day. They're going to be traveling around. So there's a need for people to be overseeing that game, the operations, whether it's organizing referees, making sure they get checks, making sure the baseball team has baseballs to start the game, the fields have been lined. There's a need to do that. There's people right now at SMS in between classes. People are running out to the field to check to make sure it's been lined and just making sure everything's in place. There's a lot that goes into just having a game at a middle school or a high school. Many of you may or may not be aware. You have to make sure you have someone who can score. You have to have an announcer. You have to have all these different pieces, and there's a lot to do that. There's a need for someone to oversee.
So ultimately, the vision is that to change the culture of athletics here from one of being a Conval High School athletics or SMS athletics or GBS athletics to being one of Conval District athletic community, a community where students get that consistent, high-quality athletic experience across the district.
Happy to entertain if there are any questions or anything that. Yeah.
Yes, good presentation, thank you, and I think it certainly does a good job of explaining the philosophy that you're looking to implement, and I certainly agree with it. I would question the athletic director salary being, equivalent between the two. It seems like you've eliminated a lot of supervision and taken away a large load on the co-curricular side in the new definition of the athletic director, even though he has to reach out across multiple schools. I'm not sure it's exactly equivalent with, especially in the supervision side of things.
Janet?
So that ultimately is a decision of the board. Regionally, the director is a competitive salary. While you're taking some things away, you're also adding the responsibility of across the entire district. So you took things away, but you added 2 entire schools and a larger geographic region. So, but ultimately that is the board's, the board can certainly decide to cut the salary that's in the budget.
And for new board members, we would not vote on this tonight anyway, because nothing comes to the board first time and we vote on it. I just don't think that's equitable. We need time to go through it, think about it, and then when we come back to our board meeting at the end of March, we'll bring this forward for May. Yeah. I think it's March sometimes. Dan?
I may have missed this, I apologize. Will the athletic director who oversees the entire district will be hiring all the coaches at the middle schools as well? And will they be reporting to him or to?
Yes, so the athletic director will be responsible for hiring and evaluation of coaches across the district, middle school and high school. The game day coordinators are only responsible for game day operations, having the fields ready, having the balls there, having the officials team. Everything else, hiring and observation and evaluation of coaches, and that will be covered.
Thank you.
Good clarification. I withdraw my first comment.
Other questions? So the one thing that I really appreciate is the game coordinators in each of the buildings and even at the high school, because my greatest concern would be boots on the ground the day of the game. That's so critical, because you're right. There's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. And you've taken the co-curricular off the table, which would have been something I would have brought forward and said, I don't know how you can do those two. So I like the presentation. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it brings particularly 2 middle schools together on an even playing field with opportunities. And I think that's critical, particularly feeding on to the high school. So thank you. Other questions from board members? All right. Jim, yes.
This may or may not be relevant at this time.
You can always ask questions about anything that we hand out, but that it goes together with the packet of the justification. So if anytime we're going to change a position, we do, similar to policy, we do reads for our job descriptions. This is not a first read. This is a, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a position title, and this is Director of Athletics.
So it needs to be corrected? Okay, I'll make sure that happens.
Yep. So we'll come back to this at our next board meeting, and even then, remember, the board has to make that decision, so we're always available to make whatever changes we need along the way. If you have recommendations, please let the superintendent know what those might be. So thank you, Jim, that's a great suggestion. Where are we on the other timing on the other?
The time is that you can close the hearing.
Okay, so I'm going to close the second hearing on the Hancock Elementary School requests for fundings, and I believe what the board is doing was authorizing the expenditures of those funds from
Yes,
the Daniels Trust.
yes.
So, any questions for board members? So these funds are coming out of the Daniels Trust. All right. Seeing none, those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Great.
I'm sorry, Dick, you need to motion. Someone has to move.
Oh, that's right.
I so move.
Yeah. Aaron's moving it. Could I have a second? It's been seconded by Dr. Kriebel. Okay, thank you, Aaron. And so the vote stands. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much, Superintendent. We all need guidance. Essay contest.
Technology purchase recommendation.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yep,
That's okay.
go ahead.
I'm that concrete sequential kind of person.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Hello. I brought 5 purchase recommendations for the board this evening. This is a combination of, typically in the last few years since COVID, we've been purchasing our hardware, bidding it out in April due to availability concerns. So this is a combination of that order. We also moved items from the budget, the upcoming budget, into ESSER and E-rate, and I think those are the only 2 that I have on here is of the ESSER and E-rate items. So since those also needed to be spent, we bid out both of the orders together. So typically around this time we'd be purchasing around 500 Chromebooks. In this order, we're looking to purchase 1,000 and split it between the budget and the ESSER monies. As mentioned in the comments for this Chromebook purchase, we also considered some other model options. When we bid it out, we did mention a preference for Lenovo, and the model that we recommended here was the one that we've had the best experience with in the last few purchases that we've made. So we did get 3 bids for the 300E, and we're recommending the low bid with EDI.
So we have 4 different votes we have to take here. So we'll start with technology 1. And if I could have a motion from a board member for the bid for the ED at Jim.
Move to accept the recommendation to purchase an EDI at a price of $318,530.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions?
Mark, just for my own interest, what happens to the old Chromebooks?
We plan on a 4-year cycle. So students are issued a Chromebook in the 1st grade, the 5th grade, and 9th grade. At the elementary, we actually cycle the 4th grade back to the kindergarten for an additional 5th year. After they are done, we typically hang on to a pretty good number of them. We sort them based off of how well they've held up over the 4 years in a student's hand. Some are actually pretty functional, many aren't. And so we'll use those as loaners. And then we have a disposal process for the rest. We typically keep as much as we can. The ones that are not fully functional, they'll go into the parts bin where we'll use them for repairs for other devices.
Thank you.
So I have a motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. So it passes. Technology, item number 2. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve the purchase of 140 laptops to continue with the planned replacement cycle of staff devices, going with vendor EDI at a bid of $139,300.
Can I have a second? It's moved and second. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Okay, thank you. Number 3.
Let me check. I did them all at once.
Is it because some of them are a different model?
The number should be the 870. So let me just do that really quick.
Mark, were those the ones with the bigger screens? Some of them were the
Yeah,
bigger
your
screens.
comment said that it's a combination of the two different sizes.
Yeah, I think that it should be the 121,800 because that's the model that we would be replacing some of them with would be the 764 model. So that might have been a copy and paste error. It should be if you're looking at it's the second line of
Yep.
the low bid information, the $870 model. So the total up to amount should be 121,800.
Okay, board approve the change in the number to $121,800, if that is correct. Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, very good, Brenda. Number 3,
You have the same error on that.
Jim.
So, the RFI definitely called out for the assignments. You see a significantly lower price for these top ones. And essentially, these are keyboards, but I mean, they're in. Using two software. 20 grand for a different keyboard seems like a lot.
I'm sorry, I'm going to let Mark explain this, but they are most definitely not keyboards.
So they're the interactive displays up there. Part of what we like about the ViewSonic model are some of the built-in features that they allow. So like what we just showed here, we were having some issues with the connectivity of the wired. It has built-in wireless connectivity. The ViewSonic also, it's the model we've currently standardized on with the last couple purchases, and we're able to add all of the devices to remote cloud management that ViewSonic offers. So we can log in and see in one place the information of, okay, why is this one not connecting? What was its last IP address, location? So from a management standpoint and software familiarity of what the devices offer, and then there's also the training. You know, we already know how to train people on these devices, so it's easier for us to support and maintain when we have a single model.
Really no problem because it's not device that you put in
Other questions? So the dollar amount on this item is
Similar to last, it should be the 133,365. I apologize.
All right,
Is the difference in price because of the 5-year advanced licensing?
That's part of the price with the view,
Okay.
included in the ViewSonic price, yes.
All right, could I have a motion to approve this GCI recommendation?
I move that we move forward with approving the purchase of 51 interactive displays to replace classroom smartboard and projectors per the replacement cycle from GCI at a total of $133,365.
Have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right.
Looks like I got this one right.
All right. Questions on technology item number 4, and I believe it'll be the 26,800. Questions, Jim? All right. Okay, go ahead.
Move to purchase 9 Allied Toast 24 switches from ISC, bid price $19,353.
Yep.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right, number 5. Mark?
To purchase 12 Allied Toast 48 portable ISC for a bid price of $35,294.60.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Thank you, Mark. Superintendent.
Hi, I am wondering if at the next meeting, the board, would like a demonstration of the ViewSonic boards, and what they do and how teachers use those in the classroom. I just don't want anyone to leave thinking that they aren't a strong instructional tool. Okay,
That's a very sound idea.
yes? no?
Sure. Oh, give me a thumbs up. How many want to see a demonstration? Okay,
Perfect.
let's just do it.
Yeah, I didn't want to give anybody the impression that they aren't a valuable tool. But they're essentially a display and input device, an interactive input device. And it was oversimplifying by saying that it was a keyboard. But yes, having a demonstration.
I think it's always good for the board to, it's a great question, good for the board to see, become more knowledgeable. It makes it easier when we bring things forward. So I think it's a good request. So let's do that.
Just another note, the final 2 items, we're planning to pay out of E-rate. I think we might need board approval for the expenditure of the E-rate funds. We did last time.
Can you wait until next meeting?
Okay. So the last 2 items, you want approval to do it through E-rate funds. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Mark, explain to new board members what E-rate funding and where that money comes from.
Yep. So E-rate's a program that's been around for quite some time now, and it's a federal funding initially intended to help libraries and schools be connected to the internet at high speeds. And the way that it works is that we submit purchases that we make, and they divide it into 2 categories. There's category 1 and category 2. Category 1 is like our internet access, what we pay First Light to have our internet bandwidth. It's also what we work with First Light to have fiber connections between all our buildings, so that we've got a wide area network between. So it's kind of our core infrastructure. Then category 2 are other parts of the infrastructure that allow us to have access to that core infrastructure in the building. So an example would be the wireless access points, the switches that connect the access points and the other wired connections within the buildings. And every year we go through the process. USAC is the entity that kind of oversees it, we go through a whole bidding process. We submit a 470 that shows all the category 1, category 2 purchases we'd like to make. Vendors bid. There's like a 30-day window. It's all very kind of open and transparent. And then at the end, anything we purchase through the E-rate process, we get a reimbursement back afterwards. That is the way they calculate it is based on roughly on our free and reduced numbers. And in the past, I usually use about 50% as a rough estimate. It changes from year to year, but we get a reimbursement of 50% of the cost for both category 1 and category 2 back. And we've been using those monies to then reinvest in things that are E-rate eligible going forward. So here we're looking to replace our aging switches, network infrastructure. We want to use the E-rate money that we've received in the past as reimbursement to fund this. And then these purchases will also be E-rate eligible. We've already bid them out. We get money back on that.
So what we're going to ask for a vote is to use E-rate funds to fund the switch items on technology 4 of 5 and 5 of 5. Any questions on what we're voting for? All right, the vote is to authorize the expenditure of E-rate funds for those 2 purchases. Any questions?
So move.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
That's for the next bid for.
Oh, you mean the print management services? Yeah, that's coming up. So Edith Birdbass is the annual essay contest. The board reviews those essays and judges them. I know I'm looking right at you, Tom. We have an incredible teacher. Her name is Liz Moore. She does a wonderful job of organizing them, getting them, but we really need at least one person to head it up and at least two additional readers. So, and I promise Liz will hold your hand. She's just incredible. So
I'll lead it up.
thank you, Tom.
All
And
right. Good.
And I volunteer to read if you give me a time frame. Because when are we?
you met Liz, right?
Oh, I know this very well. But meaning, when are we going to get them, and when do you have to have the information by? Because
Okay.
I'm in and out of town.
So I'm gonna email Liz right now to let her know to call Tom or speak to Tom, and Tom will get that information to
Right.
you.
Do we have another board member? Curtis, sure. Great.
I'd be happy to read.
Yeah.
And do you want to
Yeah.
back up, Greg, just in case?
Yeah, I've done it in the past, and it's very insightful. Sometimes it's hard to list them, and sometimes it's pretty easy to list them. It all depends. So, Tom's done this before, so he'll guide you. But it is worth doing it. I think you'll enjoy it. So, thank you.
I would suggest we not reinvent the wheel, Tom, and use the same criteria as last year. Perfect. Because I like doing the same thing. It's easy.
Mr. Cisneros.
Copy request.
Yep, we are currently in the 6th year of a 5-year copier contract, which means we are 1 year over. Last year, I guess it was decided to kind of hold over a year rather than going out to bid because of what was going on at the time. So what I did this year, I utilized a company called SPC, which basically is a cooperative buying consultant here in New Hampshire, and they specialize in managed print services contracts. Basically what they do is they do all the municipal and school contracts for Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. And they utilize that buying power in order to go out and buy it and bid at large amounts in order to get a better price. So when our bid went out, we actually had 5 responses. We had Toshiba Business Solutions, KMBS, which is Konica Minolta Business Solutions, Budget Document Technology, Rico, and Visual Edge. What we did as part of this process, which is a great way to handle it, is the first thing we did before we went out to bid is we physically went to each school and inventoried what we had. It was amazing to find out how many we had and how many we thought we had that we didn't have and how many we had that we didn't know about. So we were able to basically cut down, I believe, about 70 units that we have right now in the district. We're able to upgrade to a new model. What we ended up doing was I worked very closely, and a lot of the work was done by Mark Schaub and his team, the technology team, as far as not only getting the right numbers, but looking at the bids to see, because they're very important in the working and functioning of these copiers, what works best for the district. So currently, right now, we have Konica Minolta, so we decided to go back with Konica Minolta. They've been very reliable for us for the last 5 years. Right now, our copiers are actually out of warranty because we're in that 6th year. We will get another 5-year warranty with these new ones. This includes the installation and removal of our current units. We do have a little bit of trade-in value on some of them that is going against this. And we also work with the IT team to make sure that the process fits in with them. They're able to troubleshoot. We even looked at toner, how toner ordering works. In this particular contract, toner is included in it, and that is usually the biggest expense. Rather than having to go out and buy your own toner, you go online, you order it, it gets sent to each machine. It's all assigned by serial number. So everything is done online. It's very, very efficient. I've used this particular company before. So talking at length with our technology department, we came up with, we all decided that KMBS was the best solution for this district. It just, we checked references, we spoke to other districts, spoke to other towns, and we just felt it was the best to work for us. After looking at the 5-year cost, we actually have a savings with KMBS of almost $19,000 over what we're paying now. What we're budgeted for now, I should say, which is basically a continuation of the same contract. So these funds are budgeted for. These are not outside the normal budget. We've already budgeted next year for this. Our first payment will be due in August. But I do recommend a 5-year lease with KMBS. And the one good thing about this contract is we can go out at year 4 and 5, or before year 5, so 3 and 4, and actually test the market and see if it's worthwhile to actually end the lease early. There's no penalty, and we can actually get new equipment as long as we save money. If we don't save money, obviously there's no incentive to do that. So, but we do have the ability to do that if we can. So I am recommending we go with KMBS. And there's 3 things that need to happen if you agree with me with this recommendation. First thing is you have to accept the bid. Second thing, there are 2 motions here that have to be read exactly as written because there are legal ramifications because we are entering a 5-year lease. With that said.
All right. First motion will be to accept the dollar bid. Have a motion to approve that?
I move that we accept the recommendation to go with Konica Minolta Business Solutions for this bid.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Tom?
Brian, thanks for checking on what machines we had and didn't have. I'm sure that is very easy to happen over the years, and that's wonderful to get that under control. I just had 2 questions. What are the consultant fees? I'm just not clear what that service would be.
Well, the consultant fees they're built in. Basically, we get a part of this service is we get an actual reading of who prints what and where every month. So I know, because basically what this is based upon is how many black and white copies, how many color copies. Scans don't cost anything. We also have fax machines involved in here, and it also includes paper cut, which is basically this, where it cuts down on waste. So if somebody prints 50 pages by accident, but they don't want it, rather than just printing out on a copier, they go to the copier and they delete it, and rather than waste 50 pages of copier, 50 pages through the copier. It also includes a review every year of where we're trending. One of the things I found using this service in the past is you will find certain people will use color copies no matter what, which is about 5 times the cost of a black and white copy. And what'll happen by monitoring it, you can find out who that person is or who that copier is, and make the adjustments that you need to make in order to make sure that doesn't happen. So it actually is very, very good at lowering waste. So.
Great. And the other question is the interest rate. So is this because we're paying on a year-to-year basis? Is that?
Yes, there's a non-appropriation clause in this lease. Our first payment is in August. That is not included in the lease because just like if you lease a car, you have to make your first payment up front. That is not included in the lease. So we actually only have 4 lease payments to make. So in August would be our first lease payment and then every August after that. And yes, interest is included in that as well.
Other questions? Did we get a clarity on the dollar amount? Did you get that, Brenda, that we're voting on? We did, okay. Okay. Okay, but that's gonna be under this motion here. So, but we're not voting on this and this, we're voting on the recommendation. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right, if I could have a volunteer to read the first motion as printed.
I hereby move that the board approve the proposed tax-exempt lease from MST Government Leasing, LLC, for the purposes of refinancing and funding photocopy equipment leases, including consultant fees and related costs of issuances of such leases in an amount not to exceed $323,678.18 and an interest rate of 5.94% per year through August 1st, 2028.
Any questions? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Okay, motion number 2. William, would you like to read that one? I saw your hand, and I didn't get you the first one.
I hereby move that the board authorizes the superintendent to execute and deliver the tax-exempt lease with MST Government Leasing, LLC, on such terms and conditions discussed and provided to the board, and to execute and deliver any such documents required to execute the contract with Specialized Purchasing Consultants, Incorporated.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay. Public comment. This is a second opportunity for any member of the public to speak to the board. If there's anyone, please come forward. Not seeing anyone, so do we have any non-publics, Superintendent? Yes. We have 2 non-publics for personnel. All right, could I have a motion to go into non-public? Second? It's been moved and seconded. Dick?
Mike? Bill?
Aaron?
Jim? Curtis? Dan?
Greg?
We're in non-public. Thank you.